Welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Zone. I'm your co-host, Tom Spitalere. Bob is away on a special investigation tonight. But we're going to keep moving forward. We've done very well this year. I want to thank everybody that's been on the show this year. And Bob's been an awesome co-host, lining up some great guests. Tonight, though, but before we get into guests and everything, I want to talk about the Paranormal Zone. The Paranormal Zone is set up to so we could discuss different ideas, different views of the paranormal in the ghost hunting, ufology, cryptozoology, and anything that may go bump into the night. Fresh off a very busy Halloween season that had seen a record number of events and shows this year, which is good for everybody. That's what we're doing. But tonight's special guest is a very special guest. She's a good friend. She works hard at what she does. Her name is Patty Anastasia. She is a pet psychic medium. Again, welcome, Patty. How are we doing tonight?
Hey, Tom. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm doing really great, actually. It has been a crazy and very busy Halloween season, hasn't it?
It has, yes. I'm not happy it's over. I wish Halloween went year-round, but...
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
It is leading up, it is one of my favorite holidays, and I've said this on different podcasts and different shows. And then the next favorite holiday would be Christmas, and that's covered right around the corner. So, it's a very exciting year. The holiday season is upon us now. We can officially kick off the holiday season with Halloween, and then we go into Thanksgiving. And, before that, we have another day that everybody should be out of work. And I don't care. We stay non-political on this show. But tomorrow's Election Day. We do not give out views on election. But my personal thing is go vote tomorrow. We need to have our numbers in this country up to 80 and 90%. We are a free country. It's the most important day of the year. So outside of Halloween is my next favorite holiday, which should be a national day off, so people can go vote and support their candidates and their ideals and everything they stand for. But we're getting back to the Paranormal Zone now. So, Patty, how long you been a psychic for? Probably all your life, right? 28 years?
Yeah, 28 years. I love you. Add 30 to that.
Oh.
Yes.
I guess I was off a little bit.
God bless you. You're so sweet. People ask me all the time, when did I know I had these abilities? And, I never found out that I had them. I always just knew. And what I found out was everybody didn't. When my dog, Putzi, saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
She's a boxer. I'll share the story. I was 6. I was getting ready to run across the street, and there was a car coming. And Putzi came running over and tackled me and just stared at me. And I could hear in my mind clearly, never cross that street without looking both ways. And so I'm like, okay. And so she walked me over to the side of the street, and she said, look left, look right. And then we crossed, and she showed me. And so I did the same thing. We walked across. She went on her way. And I was so excited that I went and I told all my friends, and they told all their friends, and they told all their parents, and they thought it was a little bit odd. However, that's when I really realized that, wow, everybody doesn't talk to animals. Everybody doesn't talk to spirit. That this world isn't open to everyone. However, then I realized this is what the pets taught me, is that Ladybug, particularly my dog, she taught me that we all communicated this way when we were infants. So when we were infants, before we had language and the written word to communicate, we communicated by images and emotions. And that's one of the tools that I teach people so that they can gain more clarity in what their pets want. Because everybody wants to know, what are they wanting when they're staring at me? Or are they okay? Do they know that I love them? And they can learn to be a pet psychic. And it's all about really just slowing down your thoughts. Anyways, I thought that was really interesting because, that's where, Pootsie just saved my life. And I've gotten connected again with Pootsie as a medium. And she laughed and she said, "Yeah, I saved your life. I'm still saving your life." Thank you, Pootsie. And what I've been turning, kind of taking a right turn with what I'm doing is galleries, which are groups of people that have lost pets. And then I will come and pets will come to me and I'll describe them and people will claim them and then I'll give the messages to them. A lot of people do this with people. And I have found that I really have this focus with pets that have passed. So healing to hear the messages from your pets. In fact, in my book, Heal with Your Pets, I have a whole chapter dedicated to grief and loss and transitions. Oh gosh, when you have a pet, you just love them so much. They stretch us. They stretch us to love more. And then when they leave this love hole.
That they do. No, you're right about that. And very often we'll go into a house and there's a pet from somebody's past still there.
Yep.
Very, very, very frequently. In fact, you've been in their house long enough and you've had a few of your own pets pass away. You have to wonder the pets do come back. And I've actually witnessed that with some of my own pets.
They do. They want a spiritual relationship with us. It's different than people when they come back. Like ghosts and different energy sources and things of that nature. Animals are different because they're high vibration. So whenever they come back, it's healing. It's like to have that spiritual relationship because we trust our pets. I ask people, I'm like, if you saw your pet walk by as a ghost, how would you feel? Every single person has said, "I'd be so happy." And if you saw a guy walk by as a ghost, how would you feel? And they're like, "Oh, I don't know." There's the point.
I'm scared.
Because we trust them. They want to develop that spiritual relationship because that's what, they stretched us. And so to love more, they showed us what we deserve. And then they want to have a more of a relationship different than their physical one that we had, a spiritual relationship. And it's so powerful, that gift. We just got to get through that grieving, and people get stuck in guilt. They get stuck in guilt. It stops that grieving process. And so it's an honor for me to be able to help people through that and let that go so they can heal and start filling that love hole up with the kind of love that their pet gave them. Right?
That is an interesting, that is a very interesting standpoint, actually. And, from my own personal experiences and having plenty of animals in my life and plenty of animals on the property where I live, and they were there in the past and they're no longer there today, it is quite interesting to see and feel, especially when the new cat or the new dog comes home and they're looking around in circles going, "Oh, okay."
Right?
Or they're acting like the old kitty was acting, or they're sitting in the spot where the old kitty sat going, what's going on
right?
here? There's something.
Animals are natural channels for each other, too.
Oh, that's even more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's people say to me all the time, I keep calling my new pet my old pet's name because they just all of a sudden they do something that's just like them or whatever, and it's like, because they're channeling them. They brought that pet to you.
No. So, no, it is interesting because, I've had plenty of animals, rabbits, cats, dogs, ducks, geese. And it doesn't matter what they are. Most of the time you're dealing, obviously, with... there's something going on here. Oh, there you are. Most of the time you're dealing with just dogs, animal, horses, maybe, dogs, cats. The general ones. But growing up in Methuen, where I grew up, and having all these animals that I've had, you know, they've died natural causes. Some of them were because, we had the fox get in the hen house or something like that. You know, that can, I mean, that can happen anywhere. It doesn't matter what town you're in, where you live. If you have a hen house, the fox or the raccoon, or today the bobcat, since they've now made a comeback in Massachusetts. And then now, it doesn't matter if you live in the city or not, because bobcats have been seen on doorbell cameras all over Massachusetts, from Lawrence to Methuen to Haverhill. So it doesn't matter where you live. We got bobcats.
Wow.
Back, and that's that. I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. So sometimes those animals, you know, it's the chain of life. Sometimes that pet cat or pet doggy's let out and we lose for a minute. Or the chicken coop is locked up for the night and you think you got it locked solid, and that weasel, fox, whatever gets in there. There's nothing we can do about it. It's part of, you know, it's a natural chain of life. But having been around animals all my life, yes, you can see how they would want to come back and be with you, especially because animals are a little bit more interesting than humans. When we're little children, humans, as you know, our parents take care of us. As we get older, we take care of ourselves. Well, 99% of us do. There are some cases. But animals, I mean, yes, they can hunt themselves if you let them outdoors, but if they're indoor pets, like a cat or a dog or a rabbit, I've had rabbits. I had a rabbit that used to sleep with the cat and the dog every night.
Nice.
So, I mean, I've seen it all. I mean, but when they're indoor pets, they can't fend for themselves. So they rely on us to make sure they have food and water and a clean litter, because they can't clean their own litter. So, I mean, so they're always looking for us, even in the other side, I believe, that they're still looking for us. And
it's a great perspective.
Yeah, and that's what you probably come across every day. Stories like that from families, people you talk to, clients you talk to, going,
oh, yeah. That's a really great lead-in to a wonderful tool that I'd love to teach people, or at least tell them about.
Okay, what is it?
Well, because you were saying that, they can't take care of themselves when there are pets. They need us to give them food and so forth. Well, also, they're empathic, and more than anything, and they absorb all of our anxieties, our emotional, our physical pains and issues and diseases. They absorb that from us to help us to heal. And the problem is they don't understand time like we do. So they can't choose to do self-care to clear that energy like we can.
Correct.
However, they can't. So what we do is, I call it the rainforest effect, is we clear their energy, we call our energy back to us, and we give them their energy back. And it's a very simple tool that I teach people, is the HESU, and it's in my book too. And it's just to ground their energy, connect it to the higher self, and filter. And then clear their energy, balance their energy, heal it. I give my energy, the energy I've absorbed from you, back to you. I call my energy that you've absorbed from me back to me. And it's a filtration through that filtration system, the filters that you put around them, and it transmutes that energy to the highest good of all. And so they keep absorbing our energy, and this turns into a maintenance. And when it turns into a maintenance, a quick tool like this, then you, like the rainforest, absorb our stuff. They absorb our CO2, and then we rain on them, cleanse it, put the filter around them, and we call our energy back and give them their energy back. And now we've got this filtration system going. And I call it the rainforest effect because it cleanses us, it heals us. We heal them, they heal us, and then we heal the world together. Because we get clear. And that's the animals come to us as a high vibration. They're like, dogs are 500 hertz. We're like 68 or 100 hertz. That's like the emotions of shame, depression. Love is 500 hertz. And so, they're here to help us heal. They're the smart ones. They're just trying to figure out how to get us to know what to do. We could just listen to them. We'd be all set. That's what I think anyways. And that's what Ladybug tells me. We wrote the book together, in fact, her and I. So, does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
It's really a wonderful relationship we can have with our pets. And it's so sad when people are afraid to have another pet because of the pain when they left. And that is that's really actually turning out to be one of my main clients. Probably a good 65% of the people that I work with one-on-one is helping them figure out how to transition, when to transition. What does that mean? To not feel guilt about it, to, find the right time, to, all of these things that, is left to your own devices without some support. You wind up with guilt and just pain that you don't want to go through this again, and understandable, right? 100%. However, it's possible to heal from that. And it's beautiful because people's pets come to me. I laugh and say people's pets refer their humans to me because they tell me what the humans, their parents need to hear for their healing. And it's just miraculous sometimes, especially when I'm doing the galleries. Oh my gosh, people leave there like light. They come in heavy and they leave light. Even the ones that didn't get the message from specifically their pets. Because everybody, they hear it through the other pets. It's miraculous.
Well, that's a good thing because, when people go to these gallery readings, they're missing their pets. They're hurting from missing their pets. And they want to make sure that their pets are happy on the other side. And the other thing is, we look at things and go, when is the right time? Okay?
Yeah.
So you have this old pet, and I don't care what type of pet it is, okay? It's out, it's aged, it's old. It's supposed to live till X years, and it's already gone past those X years, okay?
Right.
We put dates on everything in life for some reason. But
we do, don't we? Try to get some consistency.
The cat's supposed to live 10 to 15 years, and all of a sudden it's living 18, 19, 20. The dog, the same thing. Or you get an animal, and the doctor says when you first get the pet, you got a great pet, but it's got a hot murmur. It's got A, B, C, D, and E, and F wrong with it. You'll be lucky to get 10 years. 15 years go by. 18 years go by. 19 years go by. 20 years go by. And you've attached yourself to this pet as one of the family. You buy him Christmas presents, birthday presents, Easter presents, whatever present holiday you want. And then, near the end, the kidneys start to go, this start to go. Natural progression of age. We have the same problem as when we get older. Then comes the time, when do you put the animal down? How much pain do you go through before putting that animal down? Then you finally make the decision with the family. You make that decision. The cat can't do it anymore. The dog just can't do it anymore. And then you're questioning yourself 2-3 days after, did I make the right decision? So people come to you and go, did I make the right decision with Precious?
Oh, yeah.
Or did I make the right decision with Cujo?
Right.
And, so you must have those questions a lot.
A lot. I think verbiage has a lot to do with healing, just adding a different perspective. And that's what I like to do, not talk somebody out of theirs. However, add another perspective to consider. And when you said putting your pet down, and most people say that, I like to shift that and give a perspective of helping them transition to another form where you're going to develop a new relationship with them.
Over the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah, And I have a whole program to help people meditatively help their pets cross that rainbow bridge. No, they're not crossing their pets. No. However, they're opening that energy flow, and they're part of this beautiful process with them. And that's what the most important thing animals tell me all the time is that they want their parents to figure out what would make it special for them. Like, what would they like to do? Would they like to have some crystals around? Do they want to go to the vet because they've got this great vet? Or do they want to have somebody come to the house and, and plan it? And then, and with knowing, I mean, you can always change the date. I mean, I think that's important to realize when you make a date and you're like, okay, no, that's not right. Our animals wait until we're ready sometimes, Sometimes it's and I say ready, I don't mean ready because we're never ready, just willing. When we're willing, we pull that cord, so to speak. And it's a lot about when you're going through that palliative, I call it, care to the transitioning in that process. It's really important to do kind of some legacy projects, like, writing down the wonderful stories that you have, you remember that made you feel joy. Find the pictures, just a few, that make you feel so joyous when you look at them. Or like they're all snuggled up looking so darn cute. Find one of those and find another one where they're looking so healthy and awesome. And you're so proud of them. And you feel those emotions when you see those pictures. Secret them away. Like, actually, put a journal out. And if it's a family, put the journal out so that everybody can share those. Because then afterwards, after everything, and you're moving through the grieving cycle, man, there's just no way to put this other than it sucks. It just sucks. It does. And it's temporary. If we move through it without the guilt, and that's the important part, then when we're willing to start filling that love hole back up again, we don't maybe know what with or anything, but things that make us feel the same way that our pet did, that's for sure. When we're willing, then we can do this wonderful ancient fire ceremony. It's in my book. It's beautiful, where you sit around and you can do it yourself, or you can sit around with other people and talk about your pet and be like, and with a fire or a candle, if you don't have the ability to have a fire, that's fine. And write down their name or write a letter to them, or sometimes you have something of theirs that you want to release and transmute that energy to, fire transmutes better than anything because it turns fire into wood, into ash, into smoke. It just changes forms like crazy. And so when we put something in there to send that message to our pet that's passed, they get it. 100% they get it. And it feels so good. And it's like, okay, now I'm thinking about them and I'm crying and I'm laughing. And now you've come to the other side, and you can do it. You really can. It's hard, I know, and getting support is essential. And people mean well. They really do. Well, get rid of their things. Get another pet. Move faster than you're willing or ready to move. And I always tell people, just trust your own instinct. It's your grieving. And that's going to take as long or short. Maybe it is get a new pet really quickly. Maybe your pet's going to drop in a baby. You never know. I mean, there's so many possibilities.
No, you don't. And this is the second time you mentioned it, so maybe we should really get into it. So now you've graduated. You first were Patty, then you became Patty the psychic animal communicator. Now you're Patty the legendary author. Is that correct? And you've got a new book out there. What is the title of your new book?
My new book is called Heal with Your Pets. And, we heal our pets, they heal us, together we heal the world. And you can get it on my website, youranimalhealer.com. So that's easy to remember, youranimalhealer.com. And I have a lot more information about my adventures from 6 years old till now on the About page in there. So if you want to read more about my adventures, you can find that as well there, okay. And also about ladybugs.
So let's see, your adventures started when you were young. And
yeah.
So this book has covered the last 27 years of your life. That's
right. That's right. This book took me 2 years to write, and then another 6 months to figure out how to get it all edited and everything. It's a crazy process, let me tell you. Anyways, I really love it. I kind of use it honestly as a textbook in a sense, because I love to work with people while they're reading my book. Oh my gosh, it makes things just go in so much easier. And because this is a different language, it's a new language I'm teaching people. It's called energetic communication, and it's 3 tools. And I go through those 3 tools in here and give lots of different, I wish that I had said this in the beginning of my book, is that there's lots of scan codes in here, and however, you don't need to scan them while you're reading it. Read through it and then go back and scan them. I've had people say, oh my God, I need my phone to read this book. Oh, please, no, go back later. Just read the book.
Read the book and go back later. Yeah, that is correct.
Right.
Read the book.
And, yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of information in here about, that animals have goals and jobs. And also, to talk to your point about wild animals and farm animals, there's a chapter in here on wild animals and some of the messages that I've received from them. Mm-hmm. And there's some meditations in there to do to heal and help connect with the humpback whale and the bees. And they have some really interesting messages.
Well, for me, I know the humpback whale is big for you, okay? But for me, the biggest animal out there was when I was a kid. It really fascinated me, okay? And that's hearing a wolf crying out to the blue corn moon.
Ooh.
I mean, that is just...
Isn't that a song? Oh, no, that's something. I've heard that somewhere.
That is just fascinating, listening to these animals out there doing what they do. And the other night I came home and there was a whole bunch of... It sounded like weasels, but we're not 100% sure with the bobcat around. They could have been coyotes, but they were singing up a storm, and they weren't too far from the property line at all.
Wow.
But it's pretty cool just to sit there and listen to them singing up a storm, and trying to figure out what they're doing out there. Well, they're obviously we're on the hunt for food. I mean, that's what you do when you're an animal. You're hunting and constantly hunting for food and finding shelter for the next night. But it is very interesting. And so this book took you 2 years, so it was written with love.
It was.
And the best books take the longest. I have a friend who's wrote a book about his religion, and it was more like it was a book, but it wasn't really a book just to read through. It was more of an education book. Mm-hmm. And to educate yourself about the religion. And this sounds like you've pretty much done the same thing, but you added, because now we're in the modern age, this book my buddy did was probably 20 years ago now. Now you add QR codes and all this other stuff so people can really delve into what you're trying to explain to them, which is great.
Right. And I do have an ebook out there, too, on Amazon. It's all on Amazon.
And you have an ebook. So if people don't like hardcovers, I love hardcover books or soft-covered books. I like something tangible. If you like it on your cell phone or your laptop or your work computer, so you can get through the dreary days of work after you lose a pet, where do they find this book again? On Amazon and where else?
Actually, go to my website. It's easy. It's youranimalhealer.com.
Well, that's a lot easier than go to Amazon and try to manipulate it.
Right? Site. Yeah. So, just go right on there and you'll find that. And also, if you have questions, I love questions. Just contact me. There's a contact me there, too. And just shoot me a question or a comment or, love to hear it. Love, love, love.
Yeah,
love
especially a book that was written with love.
Yeah.
When you have
and you know what else? Ladybug. She has a Facebook page, and you can click there on my website and go to it, and you can put your picture of your pet in her feed, and I will show it to her, and she will do healing on your pet, and I'll do a little too. However, she'll do healing on it. It's really interesting when I show her. She comes over. She literally looks at it. And then she sits down. It's like, wow.
All right. So
That's
for
cool.
our guests at home that don't know, I mean, I know who Ladybug is, but for the guests who are sitting at home here in New England, sitting over the seas in London, England, or northern Canada, Alaska, Scotland, Australia, because we have people all over the world. Who's Ladybug?
Oh, you're so right, Tom, because I do that all the time. Anyways, Ladybug is my rescue dog. She rescued me back in 2017 when she was 18 months old. I call her my Georgia Peach because she came from Georgia. And she kind of looks, I mean, I know she has Dalmatian in her. I just say she's a Heinz 57, just like her mom. And so we get along just fine. She's so wonderful. She's become my service dog. So she helps me, just stay grounded, because I'm not really a grounded person usually. So I need assistance in staying grounded, and she's wonderful at it. And we wrote this book together, and we when we go to fairs together, she helps do healing. Oh my gosh, when I teach Reiki or spirit animal Reiki, she's amazing. She just goes around to everybody and does healing with them. She puts her paws on people. She's a Reiki master too.
So I was privy to a very busy October, obviously, in September.
Yeah.
And you were too. And one of the events you did was something new, something brand new that's never been done around here, at least. I did read the story, so there is different ones going on in different parts of the country. But as far as here in the Merrimack Valley region of Massachusetts, this was the first one in the region. It was called Woof Meow. And I heard you...
No, Woofstock.
Woofstock, sorry, Woofstock. I don't know why I keep calling it Woof Meow. Woofstock. And it was done at the haunted Silsby's Farm in haunted Haverhill, Massachusetts, and I know that's haunted, and they'll talk to you about it being haunted. We got a lot of great evidence over there when we were there, and tried to go back there again. But it was a very well attended event, and I heard a lot of great things that happened with you that day. You helped a few people out there. I know you don't give out clients' names. I would never ask you to do that. But can you tell me some of the stuff that you had to deal with that day, that you helped other people? We don't need names of doggies or names of families.
Right. Well, I couldn't tell you anyway. I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
However, let's see. That day, I wait for feedback from people because I always say there's two parts of me. There's Patty and there's Anastasia. And Patty is really like the more this is the person that you talk to usually. It's usually Patty. When I'm doing psychic stuff like that, reading that day, I'm Anastasia. And so it's hard to even know that day. However, I could share some really cool stories about feedback that I've gotten. Or you could let me know if there's somebody gave you feedback and I would love that. Oh, wait, you know what? I do have one story. The dog just came to me. And this dog was very, protective, however, acting like an alpha dog, okay? And they're not alpha. If they were in a wild pack, they wouldn't be alpha. I always tell people, consider what your pet in its wild environment, if it was still wild, what role would it have? A cat and a pride, a dog and a pack. Would they be solitary animals? What would they be like? So what would be important to them in that role? And what job would they really do? Now, this one's job was to protect the babies and protect the kids. Like if they were in the pack, they would be, the ones that babysat, And that's also a perimeter police, I call it. However, just around that area, not like on the move. That's the alpha's job. Well, they were confused. And so they thought everywhere they went, they had to do this and take care of the babes. And it was just, this pup got really anxious about it and just overreacted a lot of times. And so I was doing some gemstone healing on him too. I do that with all the animals, and whether they're in person or not. And I was doing some gemstone healing, working with their chakras, their middle energy center in their body, and just kind of giving them some messages about what their job really is. And I was able to tell their parent to tell them what a great job that they're doing when they're snipping and they're around the kids, or they're around them and they're staying around them. What a great job. Or if they alert them to somebody's coming, then tell them what a great job it is, and then you do something about it. And then they start to learn to trust you as an alpha. And I hope that helped that person, because, I think it did, because that's the dog that came to me when you asked. And he kept sitting on my feet, kept coming over, and they were like, he never does that. Well, he's helping me ground, and I'm helping him heal. And that's the way it is. It always works that way.
Well, that's a very interesting and very informational story there. So thank you, Patty. Now,
yeah,
I know you had a very extremely busy September, October, which is great. But I imagine it hasn't slowed down much. So is there anything big coming up you'd like to talk about? Called
oh yeah,
I call this the shameless promotion time.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm going to be doing a pet medium gallery in Maine at Leaping Lizards in Freeport, and that's on July 23rd. And the events are on my Facebook page, which is Your Animal Healer. So that's easy. And it's going to be, it's a Saturday, July 20th. I'm saying July. I mean November. Gosh, see, that's the, I don't know where I went with July. You guys must have been like, what? Why are you telling me that now? November 23rd, and that's a Saturday. And it's from 2 to 4. And then I'm going to do a book signing after that and answer questions. And I'll be hanging around to, connect with people that, and that have questions that we connected with their pet or didn't or whatever. And, and so that's Leaping Lizards in Freeport, Maine, and that's November 23rd, Saturday, 2 to 4. And that's going to be really, really fun to connect with people's pets, to help them heal, to give them the messages that, they don't have to feel guilty, and their pets know. They tell me, they're feeling guilty about this. Tell them this. Animals don't understand guilt. They think it's the craziest thing. They're like, what? What is this? So they really don't want us to feel guilty about anything, because in their minds, everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to. It's just that, we agreed on this before we came into this lifetime, and then we forgot. Well, they didn't forget. That they came at this time for this reason, they left at this time for this reason, and the way they left. And then they know so having guilt about that is just like they don't understand that at all. It's the strangest thing to them. So that's a really great perspective for people to understand when they're feeling guilty about something,
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else?
So that's one. Yeah. Yes, that's one. And then what else am I doing? Because it has slowed down a bit, which is nice. Shoot, I can't even remember.
Oh, you'll remember.
Isn't that terrible? I meant to write it all down too. So that's the big one.
Yeah.
And I'm working to connect with people that I met through October and September, and plan some stuff for the first of the year, where we can really jump in and do a lot of healing events for people to come to with and without their pets. You had one of the women actually on the other day her name is Lee Berry, and she has the ivory and onyx, the harmonic egg, Layla. Yes. I just had one of those sessions. So, it's going to be great. And Woodstock, we're going to be doing so much more with like Chris's farm stand. And let me tell you, they've got the greatest produce there, and so swing by. I think they're still open right now. You'll have to look. However, certainly in the summer, man, they really do a super job there.
No, they do.
I have to give them a shout out.
With their produce and everything.
They sure do. Yeah, definite call, definitely. That I would love to share a story that I think many people find to be interesting, and it was just amazing to me. It floored me. A woman is that okay? Is that all right?
Share away.
Okay. A woman came to me who had just lost her little puppy dog, and it was not even a month, and she was really struggling. And we connected with them, and we're talking, and we're giving, I'm getting all these different messages and stuff, and then all of a sudden they said, I'm coming back as their baby. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going down that road. I can't, I don't want to give people false hope. And can I say, never just trust your psychic, ever, never. If your psychic is telling you something that doesn't resonate, don't do it. Trust your instinct, okay? So I like to say that. So in this situation, I certainly said that to her. However, I wasn't going to say that. I was not going to tell her that. And then their puppy was like, well, it wasn't a puppy, it was a dog. Pick a gemstone, because that's what I do to get more information. Whenever I do a session with a dog, I pick a gemstone too. So I picked the gemstone. In the gemstone, literally, was a baby in a uterus, and there was a umbilical cord. Picture in the gemstone. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, well, all right, I have to. So I say to this woman, I'm very uncomfortable with this because I don't want to give you false hope, and I don't even know if you want children. However, this is what they're saying. And she starts to cry, and she says, the doctor said I can't have children. I'm like, oh, crap, right? I'm like, well, that's when I'm like, please don't just trust me. I don't want to, I don't want you to be so let down or anything. Well, 3 days later, she texts me and says she's pregnant. And I'm wow, right? And so then fast forward, and she put a testimonial on my Google, and it's also on my my website too. So you can read that too. And her whole story is in my book. I have a whole client stories. They're great in my book. They're so fun. And so fast forward, she has a healthy baby boy. And when I contacted her and said, how's everything going? I was scared, right? She's like, oh, my gosh, I have this wonderful little boy. And guess what? He drools just like her dog drooled. And I'm like, oh, that's so funny. And then we had another session because she was ready to get another dog. And she was trying to decide between two. And so we were able to kind of go, okay, this is this person, this personality. And, boy, you really get along good with your son. And, and so she was able to kind of get some more questions and ways to look at these pups, and find out which one was best for her. And then she sent me this picture, and looks just like her son. I mean, like this, it was just amazing that they were unbelievable. And then she went back to look at other pictures of her pup that passed, and they had this totally similar look. It was just amazing to me. And so exciting at the same time. And so I animals come back. Some of them don't. Some of them stay as our guides. And some of them come back. And some of them channel, just, wind up channeling with us. It's very interesting. Animals are such a high vibration. There are all possibilities.
Wow, that's a cool story. No, that's a great story. And obviously this family loved you. And you gave them the information that they needed at this point, because without that information, they wouldn't have known what would have happened. And the miracle of a child being born, because she wasn't supposed to have one, and oops, it happened. That's awesome for her.
Right?
So that's all.
It was a miracle. Yes. That was a miracle. I believe in miracles.
Oh, I've always believed in miracles. You never know what miracle's going to be out there at what time of the day, night, evening, or when it's going to happen. And sometimes... And the only sad part about miracles is sometimes you ask for one and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it can be disappointing.
Though,
I call the placebo effect manifesting and miracle.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right? Doesn't it?
Yeah,
Like instead of putting the judgment on it, it's like, wow, that was good manifesting. Good job.
Not at all, actually. Not at all. I mean,
right?
Is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Hey, Tom, I remembered the other event that I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
And I do this regularly. I take people to the Stone Zoo to do healing with the pets, with the animals. I've been doing this for 3 years, and I have that coming up this next Saturday. And we go from 9:30 to 2:30. And for that, it is a gift of love that I do for those animals. And so I don't charge for my own time. I just ask that people will get their own admission tickets, and I just ask if you can to give the zoo more of a donation as well for in lieu of my service fee. And so it's wonderful and so healing, and you don't have to have any experience. You don't have to know what the heck you're doing at all, because the animals know it, and there'll be other people there too, and you can watch. It's incredible, the response that we get from our healing. One time when we went, and I had my 2 Reiki students with me, we were doing healing on the flamingos. Now this picture, this video is on my website, youranimalhealer.com. Okay. You can see it. The flamingos all of a sudden started doing this mating dance for us. We looked it up later. All of a sudden they just started marching back and forth with the healing. They were so grateful they were doing their mating dance for us. Animals can't fake it.
No, they can't. You're right about that.
Yeah. So you can't go, well, they just wanted me to know that. Or they just wanted, they did it because, they said they felt better, but do they really? You know what I mean? There's lots of things we talk ourselves out of. We can't with animals because they can't fake it.
No, you're right about that. They just can't fake it. You're right about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real interesting, how people attach to their animals, and it's a godsend at times too, that these animals are there through some of the people's worst times.
Yeah.
And probably the most fascinating creature for me, personally, would be a bird. And why the bird? Okay. So let's look at a bird real quick, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about, the crow out in the yard, the blue jay out in the yard either, okay? I'm talking about exotic birds like hyacinth macaws and stuff, which I know a little bit about. They live, 85, 90 years.
Yeah.
They're called will birds at times because you have to will them to other people at times. So they're called will birds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they sometimes go 2, 3, 4 owners. But for some reason, they always seem to attach themselves to their new master, new owner, whatever you want to call it. Because these birds are huge. Their beaks are strong enough to rip your finger off your hand without a problem. Have you ever seen a hyacinth? That's the largest exotic bird you can have in captivity. Have you ever seen them?
Yes, in fact, I used to train them.
So they stand 4 to 5 feet tall.
We only had one.
Oh, okay.
And they were young. They were younger. They were still just about 1. So they were still growing.
Oh, okay.
And they were beautiful. Those hyacinths are amazing. That blue with the yellow eyes and that big black beak. They're gorgeous.
Yeah, don't get that beak stuck in your finger by accident.
No, I had to be careful.
Does that rip your box?
Birds are smart, though. Birds like companionship.
Yes, they do, and they're very smart animals.
Very smart. People don't understand the relationship with having them as a pet is pretty amazing. As long as they're bred in captivity, they're happy. They're fine because they like companionship. So companionship with humans is fine with them. Unless they have a reason to have to be in captivity for their own welfare and survival. Taking them from the wild, any animal from the wild at this point is
illegal.
Not what they want. Not what they want.
No, and I find it real interesting how animals can, like birds, like those size birds, can just attach to humans. They go to one owner passes away, and it attaches itself to the next owner without a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, humans can't even do that. We can't even do that as humans.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Animals know. They're smart. They understand. If we would just open our minds to listening to their messages. I mean, they've given me warnings about the world. I mean, the white buffalo that came, gave me more. I was just about ready to do a spiritual interactive panel podcast and on indigeneity, and I'm like, I'm going to come on and talk about the indigenous nature of animals. And all of a sudden, the white buffalo was born, and I'm like, wow, that's great. That's great. And the gray whale came, and they both had messages.
Right. Yeah. I always find it interesting when, I do a lot of things besides the paranormal. I'm an environmentalist, a historic preservationist. I do a lot of different things. And I always find it interesting when I go up in front of a zoning board in front of any town in New England, and I'm not going to, bash one town over another. And zoning board members come up to me afterwards and say, we as a human race, or conservation boards, any board, we as a human race are smarter than the animals. We know what's right for them. I usually end up laughing in their face because it is quite comical. We are not as smart as we think. We're not as smart as animals. Animals will always outlive humans. I mean, there is a beginning and there's an end, but when it comes to survival, I mean, most humans could not survive the way animals survive today out in the wild. There's just
no way. No way.
No, not at all. It's, and people don't realize how smart animals really are. We complain if the heat's not working right and it's 2 degrees below zero with a wind chill. Well, for us, okay, the heat might not be working well, so it might not be 90 degrees in your apartment or your house, but it's 65 degrees. You're not feeling the wind because you're in a building that's got walls, but those animals are out there sleeping in that wind or hunting during the night, depending on what's going on. If during the daytime with heavy winds, they're sleeping, they're hunting, they're out there in the weather. You don't see, after a deep freeze, you don't see many wild animals dying on the streets, do you? I don't see them that often.
No. They know how to.
Then you read the
survive.
Then you read the sad news in the paper the following days of the news, where that cold spell might have killed a handful of homeless people in any state in the union.
Yeah.
So, and then you don't read about the bobcat or the fisher cat. That's the one I heard the other night, or a coyote, or a minx, or whatever. It doesn't really matter what it is. A wolf. You don't hear about them dying.
No, not from environment.
No, but from human interaction.
From drought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And then you have
what
my
we're
friend.
Doing to the environment.
Right. You have our friend. Me and you have a good friend. They can outlive pretty much anything if they're very smart animals. We got one on the property that's probably, I would say, in human life, 95 years old. But boy, can he still move. We have a name for this animal. You do too. It's called Pepe Le Pew.
Oh, sure. Oh, my God.
And for all those people who are across the great ocean that never heard of Pepe Le Pew, we're talking about a skunk. This thing has survived more cold winters the last year. It's an almost white skunk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It is a beautiful animal. And they're smart, too. They're not stupid either. They know how to live. They know how to protect themselves.
Yes, indeed. They sure do. Oh, my.
And if you watch a skunk in the wild with all the other animals around, the other animals know they have to take the skunk down one way and one way only, or it's going to hurt them for a while. So, I mean, these animals are smarter than we ever give credit for. And you're right, they are definitely on a different decimal level than we are.
Yeah, right. Absolutely, they are.
And that's what makes, animals and animal communicators like you so valuable in society. You can reach out to these, especially, people don't think, we talked about dogs and cats, right? And, rabbits. But, and you talked about a little earlier, we'll touch on this towards the end, and we'll go over your book one more time.
Okay.
People do have pet cows that pass away,
Mm-hmm.
Cows are smart enough to communicate with us at a different level. So it doesn't matter.
I've not ever connected with a cow. However, I wouldn't be surprised in my medium galleries coming up. I will.
Well, that would be pretty cool. It would be something new.
Yeah.
So most of the animals you communicate with, I'm assuming, are dog, cats, ferrets, chinchillas, rabbits, stuff like that, right? Most of the time.
That's the pets, yes. However, I'm always communicating with them. So I do healing work on all the wild animals. So they pop up in front of me. I do healing on them, do clearing, because they're empathic too. They can't have some, but they don't know they can't clear themselves. So no. I do that with them. And I've done some work around the bird flu to help mitigate that. And so, I tend to do different things like that. If something's going on in the animal kingdom, I'll lend a hand energetically to do some balance and healing and clearing work for them.
No, that is interesting. I just thought about something. You should have been on a show years ago on TV.
What's that?
Whale Wars.
Yeah, I've not heard of that.
Who don't know what Whale Wars is? Two guys started Greenpeace. One guy said, "You didn't do enough with Greenpeace, so I'm starting my own organization," and it was to protect the whales from the Japanese whaling ships. And this guy would go out to the Southern Oceans, the Antarctic Oceans, and fight to save whales from going on scientific research ships put out by the Japanese government. And sometimes they failed, sometimes they saved the whale, sometimes they didn't. But that would be one.
Well, I can tell you the whales appreciated that a lot. They said that was a reason, that's still a reason why there's safe harbors for them, because of them.
Right.
That's the message I just got.
And whales are not dumb animals either. They are very smart giants. They've been around a long time.
Yeah.
They don't grow to that size.
Some feel that they're extraterrestrial.
Yeah, some do feel that. I mean, I have to
along with squids.
Right. I have to say, out of all the animals, okay, now we're going to get into a movie real quick, or a TV show, I should say. But out of all the animals, the most used animal as far as what they are, let's go back a little ways. I mean, we're going to go back, so I'm going to be aging myself at 84 now. Let's go back to Star Trek. What'd they have to come to Earth to get? Trek. What'd they have to come in one of the movies? They had to go back.
Right, they had to get the humpback whales.
Right, to save the universe, to save the world.
And they took the one that was pregnant.
Right.
From the aquarium.
Correct. And then you had another smart whale that was an orca, a killer whale, for people who don't know what they are, in a movie, and he had to jump over a stone barrier, a natural stone barrier.
Right.
And
Free Willy?
Free Willy, correct.
Okay, yep.
And then another show that you probably, I don't know if you would watch it, children will watch it, or people like me. There was a show called Star Wars Rebels. Okay?
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
And what happened at the end? What drove away the Inquisitor? It was a bunch of whales that took the ship and they put the ship in the hyperdrive. The space whales.
Space whales, that's right. That was so cool.
I mean, so when it comes to animals, if they're using them in movies in ways like this, they got to be smart.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that just shows you what would, and even hawks. I don't know if you did another movie, a TV show that was great in the 80s. I'm aging myself again. Airwolf. So at the beginning of the movie, Stringfellow Hawk will be playing his big bass, and what's flying over him but a hawk. The end, they got him laying back after he saved the world with his super flying helicopter that was bulletproof and everything else. He saved the world, and they got him back playing to the hawk in the woods over the lake at his cabin.
Nice.
So, I mean, animals, used in movies, yes, but they're using them to prove to the world that they're smarter than we think. And never underestimate an animal. Now, Patty, we're coming to the end of this great show. We're going to go over it is what it is. We have plenty of time, so don't worry about that. We're going to give out one more shout out about your book. So give us one good shout out about your book, please.
So, Heal with Your Pets, and you can get it on my website, youranimalhealer.com. And I have just some great chapters for behavioral concerns, ways to deal with that, neurological deficits, and PTSD trauma. So if you have rescues, this is a very important chapter that can really help you to help them assimilate better into your house, health issues. And then, high vibration healing tools. This is really cool. This is one of the other parts of energetic communication that's so important, is to provide that high vibration healing, like with gemstones or with tuning forks or with meditations that I provide you with in this book. And then grief, loss, and transitions. I think that's probably one of the most important chapters. I'm getting ready to write another book specifically about that. And it also covers people that have lost their pets from running away. Now, this is just so traumatic. There's no completion. And that is so hard to heal from. So there are some great supportive things that you can do for yourself and ways to look at it, and meditations, to connect with them again and talk with them. That has helped a lot of people. And so, that is... that's my shout out. And of course, it was written by me and my ladybug, who is my rescue dog who rescued me. And she's a spirit animal guide and Reiki master. So she's pretty special.
All right. And if people want to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you personally?
I would go to my website, youranimalhealer.com, or you can Gmail me, which is youranimalhealer@gmail.com.
All righty. Thank you, Patty, for coming on tonight, talking about your book. We're going to have you back on because, animals that disappear and there's no closure, sometimes they're not always hit by the car. Sometimes they're not always eaten by a prey out there, such as a bobcat, a lynx, a wolf, a coyote. Sometimes they just go away because they know their time is up and they just disappear.
Yes, and here's something to leave you with about that we could pick up later, is that sometimes they have 2 or 3 different jobs in one lifetime. And when one job ends with their parent, and they leave to go do another job with another human.
That I do believe. This
has happened many times.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, again, Patty, we want to thank you for coming on tonight. Check out Patty's book. Check out Patty's Facebook page and website. Patty's a great person. I want to thank you personally for coming on tonight. Thank you very much. I want to
thank you, Tom.
I want to thank everybody tuning in tonight. And just so you guys all know this, for the next month or so, we're going to be on Monday nights, dropping the show on Monday night. So let your friends know. We'll put some Facebook quote pages out there to let you know that we're dropping on Monday nights. And the reason for that is it is festival tree season at the Buttonwoods Museum in Haverhill, Massachusetts. If you want to donate a tree, you're more than welcome to. Just come on down during the open time, Wednesday through Sunday this week. Bring a tree or a wreath, and you can donate it. And it'll be greatly appreciated. It'll help the nonprofit organization, the Buttonwoods Museum. So I want to thank everybody for tonight for tuning in. And pretty soon, I'm heading back to my crypt. I'll see you in the paranormal. Good night, everybody.